You're listening to TG1F, an F1 podcast with Kate and Nicole.
We're your hosts. I'm Kate.
And I'm Nicole.
And this is our show, where we talk about all things Formula One.
And a lot of things that are not Formula One, too.
Because why the heck not?
This is your formal invitation to a weekly hangout with your F1 BFFs, where we'll talk on-track action, off-track gossip, and throw in some hot pop culture topics.
It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned F1 fan, a curious newbie, or literally just think the drivers are hot. Because they are. There's a little something in this podcast for everyone.
Speaking of which, did you hear what happened this week?
No, tell me about it. Oh. Wow, black top girls.
Look at that. The uniform.
2 girls wearing black tops. 2 girls wearing black tops.
Slick back bun and a black top. Slick back bun and a black top. We tried to do that. I'll have to send you the video. I have footage of us doing that in Chicago. Kaylee, it was like little black skirt and the bright pink babe. Little black skirt and the bright pink babe.
I'm dead. Of course that was hers.
It was so funny. And then we were obviously drunk after karaoke. And people did not enjoy us walking down the street yelling that, but I don't give a shit.
Whatever.
Some people are
haters. Did people say something to you?
Yeah. Someone was saying that people were like making, like the people behind us were like making snide comments.
Like what?
I don't remember, but they were like, "Oh, that's so embarrassing." And I was like, "Bro, guess what? I do not care. I say shit on the internet all the time.
Yeah,
I don't care about your opinion. I have thick skin at this point. Like I say shit that people don't agree with all of the time."
Speaking of which,
should
we get into this? Should we talk about it?
Let's kick it off.
Should we talk about it?
Cause a real ruckus on the internet this weekend. So obviously we had the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Right.
Belgium is next week.
I don't know
Spa is next week.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Clearly,
fine. Don't worry.
Cancel me for not knowing.
You know what? It was a pretty good race.
It was. I had fun.
There was a lot of adrenaline,
drama, but it was fun.
Things. It did feel reminiscent. I feel like we've been really getting fed the past couple of races, and like for that, I'm really thankful.
However, I saw a stat today that said this is the first time that Max hasn't won. There's been 3 races in a row that Max hasn't won for the first time since 2021.
That's crazy. Yeah,
that is nuts.
Like we're being fed. However, I think we can all agree the biggest loser of this weekend, the biggest winner and the biggest loser was McLaren.
I mean, they fucked up.
Now, the biggest thing that I caused a ruckus with was I said I'm back in my hating Oscar era. And for anyone who...
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. I won't lie to you. I saw you put that up and I was like, this is going to A, cause a ruckus, and B, that's a crazy statement.
And here's the thing, and here's why I will stand by my statements, is the reason I didn't like Oscar in the first place, obviously, was because of the whole Danny situation. Once again, wasn't Oscar's fault, was it? No, but
no.
I'm an emotional being, and I made my decision based off an emotional response, and that's fine, and that's how it is. And on Sunday, I was just like, okay, but if I was Oscar, say I'm in that position and Lando's being difficult about it, I would be like, I don't want my first race win tainted by this, because now everyone involved looks like a fucking asshole. And even, people were like, oh, it wasn't Oscar's fault. And I was like, yeah, he was on the radio being like, oh, we got to take care of this. We got to take care of this. Like, tell Lando, he's got to give the position back.
Everyone does that, dude. Everyone wants to win to the point like everyone does that. Charles does that to Carlos. Carlos does that to Charles. Like Lando did that about Danny when Danny won Monza.
100%. And a lot of people still complained about that.
Yeah.
So I just feel like, I'm the bad guy because I was mad at Oscar for just being like the golden boy of McLaren. Now they've discarded Lando once again. I just was like, whatever. And
the thing about McLaren is that they aren't ready to have 2 really good drivers. They just don't want, they're not physically capable of having 2 drivers that are fighting for wins because they do not know how to be impartial. Like I think they are always the team that wants to have like a very clear number 1, number 2. like they have, I think their weekend strategy is like they have a preferential strategy
Mhm.
and then they have another strategy,
Yeah.
and not, it's not going to benefit both drivers, and I don't think that they know how to do that, and I don't think that's either of the drivers' faults. It's
No.
fucking annoying because they're kind of like the face
Mhm.
of the team, but I just think that McLaren isn't ready for that smoke yet.
I agree. And obviously, I don't really fucking hate Oscar. Obviously not. But I was really upset with the way that they treated Lando. And I was like, they're so condescending to him. And they're like, oh, we know you'll make the right decision. Like, oh, this came from higher ups. Like, who? Name names, bitch. Like, who did this come from? And people were in the DMs like, do you think that I came from like Formula One corporate where they're like, we need to have more winners, like more different race winners to
That's a
make the
conspiracy.
sport exciting again because people were pissed off after Max winning them all. And I was like, that's a great conspiracy. I'll co-sign that. I just like I do feel bad for Oscar. I feel bad that his race win is tainted. I feel bad for Lando because the way that they treated him. But I think people also forget that, you think you just fell out of the coconut tree. That's not true. Lewis used to act this way. Lewis never would have accepted that. Sebastian
Yeah.
Vettel used to act this way. Seb never would have accepted that. Like, imagine they said that to Max. Oh my fucking god! And I think it's just like, yes, we people who are newer to the sport saw Seb and now see Lewis, and they're like, oh, he's so kind, such a good team player. That is not how it fucking used to be. Like they were
No.
such fucking assholes, and they were
Yes.
little douchebags. And I think that people just like see them now and forget that the
Yeah.
way that Lando acted very similar to how Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton have acted in the past. And so
Yeah.
sometimes it's just like you forget the context of all that you exist in, which has come before. And to quote Kamala Harris, okay, future president of the United States. I'm like, people sometimes confuse me with the way that they
I
just
just,
sweep that
yeah.
under the rug. And yes, I was inflammatory when I said I was in my hating Oscar era, but I just said that I was in my loving Lando era. So what did you want me to do about it?
I also think that like we, and this is an issue. Oh my god, I feel like this is the episode that's really gonna do it for us. We're getting canceled out in this episode. I'm trying so hard to figure out how to say what I'm trying to say. But I think that this whole oh my god, I literally
It's-
sound like an
It
old
is
person.
it is
Like
the
you can
fact
tell I'm 30 now because this whole culture of like everyone gets trophies and everyone gets a medal and it's participation trophies, all of this. Like I get it. And I think that like it's a stark contrast to what it used to be. And I don't think that we should go back to what we used to be where like people were getting hit, like bad things were happening. However, I do think that we now are like, okay, well, like they should all be like sportsmen and should be happy for each
kumbaya.
other. And like they should not be like Lando should be so supportive of Oscar winning his first race and blah, blah, blah. And like I get it. And like, yes, I think they're like sportsmanship is important. And I think that that's huge. But also, like, Michael Schumacher used to like run through
He used to beat the shit out of
the
people.
grid and beat people up. Like this is like people, these are athletes, they're sports. It's like they're passionate, there's adrenaline going on. Like I just think that like we have gotten to this point where like we value the sportsmanship so much more than the actual like competitiveness of a sport. And not to say that like sportsmanship's not important because I think it is. And I think we do see people like Lewis or like teammates that are congratulatory to each other even when they don't like the result for themselves. And like that's great. And they should do that because
Mhm.
like that's just called being like a good person that can like kind of separate. But also they're allowed to be pissed if they're not winning. Oscar, like pound for pound, I think Oscar had a better race than Lando.
Mhm.
He like Lando started on pole. Oscar immediately took P1 and ran with it for a while until McLaren fucked up the pit
Mhm.
strategy. Like Oscar was in P1 for a long time. He was leading the race. He should like it was his race for a long
Mhm.
majority of it. So I think for him to be like, we got to fix this, we got to switch this around. He's also like, this was not my fault. I should have been up
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah.
like you guys fucked me. And so like give me my place back. Like you fucked me over, unfuck it. And so I get that. I get him being like, tell Lando to get the fuck back here. He took my pit. Like
Mhm.
I get that. I get that it, like heightened emotion because like he did spend the entire race thinking maybe he was going to win his first race. I totally understand Lando being like, okay, well, I'm out here front, like in front. You did this. I'm taking advantage of it. Like, I totally understand both of those. So I think for everyone to be like, okay, well, they were not just like supportive of each other and blah 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 is like, grow up.
I don't think that they have to be.
Like, don't be so soft. Like, they are like professional athletes that want to be the best because they are in the 20 best drivers in the world. Like, they're allowed to be kind of like that. However, where I do draw the line, like, don't be a fucking dick to Lewis for
I
no
know
reason. Like,
Lewis
what
had
is
no
your
skin in that
problem?
game.
Literally, what was his deal? Like,
I have
this
no
is also
idea.
where I do sometimes have an issue with Lando,
Mhm.
is I do think he's like very entitled to
Yeah.
things and like just gets such a bad attitude where then, but then it gets kind of like, I just think
Again,
it
I
takes
don't
it
know
in
if
a
it's
different
hard because
direction.
we saw Lewis. We seen that clip of Lewis and Nico, and Lewis is throwing the hat at Nico, and they're fighting with each other, and
Yeah.
it's like they've been there. And just like you said, with adrenaline, they're fresh off that race.
Yeah.
Also, keep in mind, Lewis is, or Lando's what, 24?
Right.
His frontal lobe's not even developed yet. He's not
Not
online.
even there.
I'm so sorry. He acted exactly how I expected a 24-year-old boy to act.
Right.
No offense. And I get that there's like higher pressures, but again, he did come off of a very public feud with his own team. Like everyone heard those radios and he knows it. And then to not win and like be given less preferential treatment and like the whole situation, like uh, do I think he should have like said what he said to Lewis? But in hindsight, like, was it actually that mean? Probably not. He caught an attitude with Lewis, but like, it's
Right.
not like he beat Lewis up. Like, sure, he was
Right.
being a brat about it, but like, I don't know. I was just like,
I just think Lando's thing is that he really, everyone always yells, like gets upset with Yuki for like letting his emotions get away from him. But like a lot of times it's in the car. I feel like Lando very much lets it simmer and
mhm,
like just cops an attitude about things and like makes it more like public.
yeah,
I don't know. Like, remember everything with Danny and he's telling people, I don't feel bad for him. No, I don't
yeah.
have any sympathy for him. Like, I don't care at all. Like, I feel like he just is like, I don't know. He's kind of, I'm kind of iffy on Lando lately. I don't
Well,
know.
I'm after I saw his behavior. Sometimes, like, I was in on my Lando era, and then like I posted this morning, giving me the ick. I'm out of my Lando era. Like I said ebbs and flows last week, and now we're out of it.
Ebbs and flows, baby. Like, yeah, I don't know. It was a very interesting weekend because also, here's the other thing. I'm like, okay,
Oh,
Lando, you like, then you should have just stuck to your guns and not done it.
yeah.
If you were gonna last, like, wait that long, keep your balls on and keep doing it. You had like 3 more laps to go. But
Or
like, if you were gonna switch the position, you should have done it immediately. And if you had the pace, you'd get him back
right,
and
exactly.
whatever and be like, okay, well, I gave him his spot back and now he's being slow.
Yeah.
Because by that point, Oscar didn't have the pace. So then you were gonna get it anyways. You almost made it worse on
Mhm.
yourself by like not doing it for so long and then giving in. Like, if you're gonna wait
100%.
that long, don't give in.
The problem too I have though is that like I guess maybe McLaren thinks that Lando doesn't have what it takes to catch up to Max in the driver championship
Yeah.
because like I feel like in any other team, say it was Mercedes or anything like that, they would have said Ferrari, they would have done, and they have done it where it's been
Yeah.
preferential to the driver who is leading the championship and who has an opportunity to catch up and score more points, right? Lando's
Yeah.
second in the championship. He's
Yeah.
80 points down, something like that from Max, and Oscar's fifth in the championship. So, like,
Yeah.
to me, it seemed like the right choice would have been to just let Lando win and get more points. They were going to do a
Yeah.
1-2 anyway and like have him be closer to Max, especially since Max has not won a race in 3 weeks,
Yeah.
right? Like, clearly Red Bull is struggling. Clearly, there are some issues. Like, Max may fall from grace, right? He may not be the shoe in that we all thought he was going to be for the driver championship this year. Why is it not crazy? Like, why is it crazy to think that they would have just wanted Lando to come
Yeah.
in first and get more points? Like, that was the part for me where I was like, I'm not comprehending what's
No,
happening.
I didn't I mean, nobody understood the strategy. Like, the strategy was bad from the get. And they didn't even come out to say that it was a bad strategy, really.
No,
Like, like on the other side, AlphaTauri was like, "Yeah, we fucked up with Danny.
At
Like
least
we
at least they were
are not AlphaTauri
honest.
V car, whatever." Like they said it where I'm like, "Okay, well, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's very interesting. Like I just don't really get it."
It's fine. It's over, it's done with, and they'll have to deal with the fallout for like the rest of the season. Oscar will have to deal with that as his first race win, unfortunately. Like it just there were no winners in this situation at all.
Yeah. But a win for us
A win for us. And you know what?
was
I will
a
say
win for
I
us was I was going to give an example of what a win for us was, Nicole.
oh, tell us. I thought you were saying that was a win for us, that whole
No.
experience. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. A win for us was a battle between Max and Lewis again.
100%.
It was a role reversal from Silverstone 2021,
It was so good.
and Lewis came out on top on this. And do we ever see, did Max get a penalty for that? For causing a collision?
I don't think so. I didn't see
I don't
anything.
think so either. But I
He
feel
he
Max was struggling this weekend. He was on one.
he
He
was
was
on
not
one,
happy.
and you know why?
Yeah,
Because he's always on that damn phone. He's always on that damn Twitch stream. Go to bed. Go to sleep.
literally.
Like, I'm sorry. Why are you, as someone who's leading the World Drivers' Championship right now, who clearly has not won a race in a couple of weeks, up until 3 a.m. playing your video games? I'm so sorry. Be an adult. Go to bed. And I think everyone was just kind of over his shit this weekend. The engineers were
Yeah.
like, "You are out of control. You're acting like a
They literally
child."
said, "This is childish. This is childish."
I just like
Like,
to see the drivers act like that. Sometimes you forget that they are actually just like young 20 something year old boys. And sometimes they show their hands, and you're like, right, for sure.
yeah. Yeah, I was like, Max is not happy." And it was just like such a classic Max thing, literally doing things wrong and then being like, "He did that to me." And I'm like,
We're just gonna push people off the track now. Okay, tell the FIA that that's what we're doing now. Okay, fuck off, Max. I saw something though. They were like, Max
"Bro,
would.
you do that every week."
They were like, Max would never pull this shit with Charles though, because Charles will literally crash both of them out just to prove a point. And I was like, so
Literally.
true though. They're like, Charles
Like,
will kill
you
them
wanna
both.
know, like, okay, so I know that here's a crazy thing that I'm gonna say. Whoa. I just got so
Say it.
excited I moved my microphone. So, I'm doing a role reversal on something. We used to say all the time that the F1 hall monitor was George Russell.
Mhm.
And I'm actually going to change that and say I think it's Max Verstappen. I think Max Verstappen's a hall monitor because I think he's on the hall monitor power trip
Mm.
where he's like, "Yeah, I'm actually making the rules." And like, "Oh my God, oh, so we're allowed to do that now? That's crazy. He pushed me." When usually the hall monitor would like push someone, but because they're like,
Yeah.
have the badge, they can get away with it. And I think that Max is very uncomfortable right now because he doesn't actually have the
He doesn't
power.
have the power. Yeah.
He's hall monitoring right now.
Yeah. That's a really good statement.
Thank you.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, he's being oh my god. Oh, that sounded really bratty. That's him. I
Yeah.
just am like, you guys, you know what? Maybe it's because they've all been hanging out too much together. I think they need to take some time apart. I think the summer break will be good for them.
Summer break
Everyone
is good.
go swim in the sea, take a break, connect with nature, touch some grass. I think everyone needs to chill the fuck out. Tensions are high in the paddock right
Tensions are
now.
too high. Yeah.
You need to cut it, as they say.
Yeah. They need to take a quick little break.
Yeah, it was a heated weekend. I
Yeah, it
don't
was.
I mean, I was on cloud 9. Danny Rick and P1 at the end of Q1. I said,
Stop
"Stop the
the
count.
count.
Stop
Stop
the
the
motherfucking count. That's my man." Um and then surprisingly he finished 16th. So obviously we know AlphaTauri fucked his strategy. It wasn't really his fault. But I was just like I had such high highs and such low lows.
You know who else had some pretty low lows?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay, on the count of 3, let's say the name of the driver who will not be here after summer break. 1, 2, 3, Checo.
Checo. Bro,
Like, how
what
does
is
like,
he
what's
doing?
going on? Like, what is actually going on?
It seems
Do
like
you think
he
do you think that he's a beard for Carlos? And I'm gonna explain what I mean by that
yeah,
because
say more
not
about that. Say more.
like, do you think that Carlos, this is such a conspiracy, I have literally no reason to believe that this is
You have
true,
crazy eyes
that
right now, but I'm
Carlos
obsessed.
what?
I said you have crazy eyes right now, but I'm obsessed.
Um, I think that Carlos and Christian have been talking and have been still brewing up some sort of agreement. And but it wasn't ready yet. And Christian was like, "Okay, well how about this? We'll sign Checo for a couple more races. Let's see how it goes." Because wasn't it that like Red Bull didn't want to pay Carlos as much?
Yes.
So maybe it's like, okay, well, we're going to sign Checo, but we're really just secretly only going to give him a couple races to prove it. And if he doesn't hit it by this point, then Carlos, you get your full salary, whatever you ask for. And so,
Hmm.
like, they're using Checo as basically a beard to hide Carlos negotiations behind until Checo inevitably fucking drops out because he stinks.
Interesting. Interesting. My conspiracy was way more out there that he's been possessed by a demon and
Oh my God. Okay.
he's been possessed
Okay.
by a negative walk-in and he's losing it.
To take that a step further,
Yeah, let's go. Let's build on it.
to build on that, Helmet Marco is current. It has become nice, and I think maybe someone performed an exorcism on him, and his evil spirit left his body. So now he's like nice guy again, and it entered Checo.
Go. And this demon has no idea how to drive a car.
Absolutely
So
none.
that's why he's really what is it? Scooting the pooch. What is it? What is that saying? Screwing the pooch. You screwed the pooch. He overdicked it.
I need that 10-second. I need that. Just cut into its own thing that I can laugh at all the time. Because like, what are you saying?
You screwed the pooch. That's a saying.
Okay, sure.
Um, yeah, Checo. What is happening? He, I just if they bring him back after the break, like truly, where's the self respect? Like, stand up, Red Bull, stand up. Drivers have been
Like
caught for
something
less.
is happening.
Like, does to bring it back? We've talked about this several times. Does Checo have dirt on Christian Horner? That he's like, well, guess what? You cut me. I'm leaking this to the press.
Well, nothing can kill Horner at this
I
point.
guess he's like a little cockroach, won't go away. I just am.
It's
I'm so confused. I turned on qualifying a little late. I said red flag. What happened? Oh, Checo put it in the wall. Least surprising thing to happen.
literally surprise, surprise.
And they obviously fixed his car.
Well, well, well. If it isn't Checo in the wall,
Likely place for him to be.
yeah,
I just am like, again, I just can't comprehend. My brain is, it's, what's happening?
it's very confusing to be
If
honest.
anyone smarter than me has any other ideas other than negative demonic walk-ins and beards for negotiations, please let us know.
Because we simply
Because
can't
they said
compute.
we'll sign you early so that you have the confidence to not feel like you have to compete and show that you're worth a contract, and hopefully you'll do better. Turns out he's gonna do worse.
Like that was literally such a stupid, dumb move on their part. Like so dumb.
I don't know. I guess we'll
Like
see.
you look so dumb right now, for real. You look really,
For
really
real.
dumb.
For real.
Hide your kids, hide your wives. Checo's in the wall again.
I just yeah, I don't if Checo is still around after summer break, he comes back one race after summer break and he fucking sends it into the wall again. Like, I'll be like, okay, so he definitely has dirt on Christian because there's no fucking shot they're keeping this guy
There's
around.
no shot.
That'll be canon at that point. So
Has to be.
Red Bull, Red Bull, Red Bull. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
I don't know.
I
What else
don't
do you
know.
want to talk about? I feel like nothing happened this week.
I haven't seen anything.
I think the race really overshadowed.
Literally everything.
Like no one really traveled anywhere. I mean, it was only 1 week in between. They like didn't do anything. Oh, oh,
Oh. Oh.
we need to talk about the Dan and Ricardo Josh Allen Beats collaboration
Oh.
because I did just watch Twisters. I saw Twisters last night.
Nice.
I'm big in a cowboy era right now. I'm in a big cowboy era right now. And for them to put Danny back in a cowboy outfit, really doing something for me. And now I don't know what this is going to be, but they did put out like a little 30-second reel. And if this isn't a full feature length film that I can go watch in IMAX theaters, ideally a 4D experience, I don't want it.
4D experience.
I this is kind of a side note, but I've been dying to talk about this with someone. I sent this video in the group chat and I don't know if you watched it, but the Bills social media on par with Steak's social media. Like they're killing the game. And they recently did a thing where they had some of the Bills players taste test different variations of milk. Like they had them in the box and they like went down the line and it was like 2% half and half, like heavy cream, skim. And Josh Allen literally nailed all of them. I was
He knows
like,
the real.
okay, Josh, this is kind of
Okay,
sad.
get him in a Got Milk commercial immediately.
But I just was like, that's insane. But to bring it back, I love their friendship. And I'm really excited to see what Beats has cooking up because Danny hasn't partnered with Beats in a while, I feel like, because he used to do the
No, he
3 by
hasn't.
3 sponsored
Mm-hmm.
by Beats, and there really hasn't been anything from him lately. So this is a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I think if that was a full 4D movie experience, I would actually go to the movie theater for that. I'll say it.
Ugh, I'm rewatching it right now.
I
Like
actually didn't really
what are
like it.
they doing?
They're just having fun.
You
They're
know
just
what?
guys being dudes.
Just guys being dudes. Talk about production value.
You're telling me.
Them in their little matching outfits.
Like Danny's little mustache at the beginning.
People have been really hating on the mustache in the DMs, and I'll tell you what, not me.
Not me, you know a mustache girl.
The
You know.
Legend of Riccallen. Someone give me more details on this right now. If you know anything, say more. I I would love it in a 4D experience. I'm thinking about it. Are you watching it right
Like,
now?
yeah. It like you I just and like what's with the animation portion of this?
I don't know. I like literally have no idea what to expect if I'm being honest.
Josh Allen is so handsome.
So handsome. They're both so
Also,
handsome.
Danny in the bathtub with the checkerboard towel, like
Please.
acting like he's riding a horse.
I
What's happening?
I need to know so much more. So much
Like so
more.
much.
Also, who pitched this idea? Like who was the creative mind vision behind this? Do you think they came up with it together? Do you think someone else came up with it? Like what do you I just when did they have time
This
to film
feels
this? When did he have time to film this? No
I mean,
wonder.
this feels like a Danny brainchild, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe that's the show. It's no longer driven or whatever it is.
I would die.
Also, okay, other thing we didn't talk about is the fact that Nico did the post race interviews and Nico and Lewis, and then Lewis winks at Nico at the end. Like, what's sort of happening there? Like, I felt the tension.
Brosades.
I felt it.
You're
I
back.
I felt it, and I had to explain to my friends who I was watching the race with, and I was like, "Is that Nico doing the post race interview?" And they were like, "Who is that?" And I was like, "He's not interviewing Lewis right now." And then I had to explain Brosades to them and like the lore and everything that was going on, and they were just like, "That's crazy." And I said, "I know."
Okay, well, take a moment here for anyone listening who is a newer fan of the sport and wasn't around during the Brosades time period, and please just give a little history lesson for anyone who doesn't know why that was so crazy yesterday.
TLDR, Lewis and Nico were teammates at Mercedes from 2014 to 2016, something like that. But they have been friends like since their karting days, since they were wee little lads. They used to share bunk beds together when they would go to different races. They were just the best of friends. And then the spirit of competition came between the two of them, and Lewis won a championship and then Nico won a championship, and they were just at each other's throats all the time, and it really damaged their friendship to the point where like they did not speak to each other. And like I mentioned earlier in this episode, we've seen clips of Lewis like throwing like his first place hat at Nico, like people they're like upset. Nico loves to yap. He loves to say, I beat Lewis Hamilton in equal machinery. He loves to get on his little podcast, little microphone, and still talk about Lewis. And so there's been like beef between them. It seems like maybe they have kind of been repairing the relationship. We've seen a few photos of them here and there, like doing things together. A couple years ago, we saw Lewis and Nico on a yacht together, which people were like,
Photo.
yeah, people were like,
And
that's
Photo acting as like a marriage counselor. He
yeah.
was like, "Boys, you need to get
They
over
were like,
this."
that's crazy that they're on this yacht together because they have not been. It almost feels like a Larry situation where like they are not seen together because of the rumors and the nonsense that this fuels. So yeah, Nico was doing post race interviews whether or not they thought that Lewis was going to be on the podium. Who's to say? But also for a long time, Nico was not allowed in the paddock because he's an anti-vaxxer.
Yep.
And so he had to report live from his fucking basement like a loser, and wasn't allowed to interview people. So
So funny.
he's kind of an interesting character. And I posted a quote from Max today,
It was so funny.
which it was a quote from 2019, but it also still felt relevant
If the
today.
shoe fits,
If
and guess what? The shoe still fucking fits.
And the quote, if you hadn't seen the story, our Instagram story, is that Verstappen certainly doesn't take Rosberg's criticism lightly. Quote, don't really care what he says in his podcast. I think he's becoming the new Jacques Villeneuve, who has actually become less bad now. Nico is the one now. I guess he just wants to attract viewers and listeners. He called me a narcissist earlier this year, and I found that a bit extreme. Nico has never been credible, even as a driver. It's his problem. He has no appeal and can't get a job. I don't know what he wants. More viewers? Money? He should have kept driving to earn a lot more.
Like, he has no appeal and can't get a job.
Stay away from her and get a
Iconic.
job. Like
Iconic.
it's so funny because I'm sure also Nico had some shit to say about Max's behavior this weekend and like his driving. And because Max literally said, they asked him like, oh, what do you have to say about all of your critics? And he said they can all fuck off. I'm sure if given the opportunity and less media training, he probably would have said some silly shit like that.
Yeah.
So it was Max was, like we said, on one, and he was just if
Honestly,
the
Max has been on one for his whole life. I think Max is he's just
Well,
on
like
one.
I said, I think he had been better since Yost has been banned from the paddock.
Yeah.
Like I felt like his mood was generally better. Who's to
It's
say?
funny.
Anyway,
He has no appeal and can't get a job.
that's the Brosades Nico Rosberg of it all.
Love it. Thank you for that history lesson.
You're welcome. We've got one more race before the summer break, which then you will be hearing from us every single day because we will be putting out a little mini-sode of all of our favorite F1 authors. Like we said last week, super excited by this. As I'm going through and editing, I'm like, all these conversations are so fun.
I
I'm
know.
starting to get the books that they're sending that we can give away. So I'm like, it's wonderful. This week we have Spa, which I learned, fun fact, I told you about
Ooh.
this,
Yes.
is that like spas, why they're called like spas is because of Spa. And
Mm-hmm.
I did not think that they had any correlation, but it's because there's like hot springs there, and the name for spa comes from a Latin word that I can't remember right now, but I was like, huh, you learn something new every day. I thought it was
You
just
really do.
I just thought it was a town in Belgium.
I said it's the OG spa.
OG spa. So I think to really decompress, we'll have to go there at some point to go to like the place,
A spa.
the spa.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, cool. It's a date. So we
Okay,
got this.
perfect.
We got that
Wait,
this weekend. I don't know what the preview is. I don't know what anyone's got going on. It's going on vacation, so maybe we won't even do an episode next week. Who's to say?
who's to say? Let us know if you care or not. Your girls are tired. It's almost summer break. We're about to take a summer break too, so that's all you get from us today. That's
Until
that.
next time.
Until next time. We'll see you on the internet.
We'll see you on the internet. Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of TG1F, an F1 podcast with Kate and Nicole.
If you like what you heard, don't miss out on the fun between episodes.
Keep up with the chaos on Instagram at 2 Girls 1 Formula. That's spelled out TWO girls numerical 1 formula.
And check out our website, twogirls1formula.com, to shop cute fan-made F1 merch.
See you next week.
But like we said, in the meantime, we'll see you on the internet.